Drea Humphrey here with Rebel News at the Seymour Golf and Country Club in North Vancouver because Conservative leadership candidate Dr. Leslyn Lewis is here doing an event, a meet and greet, and an open Q&A. We are going to sit down and get an exclusive interview and take you with us there. If you want to find out the latest on leadership reports, you can head to leadershipreports.ca and catch up there. And also, if you want to contribute to our cost to bring you the reports, we've had our boots on the ground across Canada to do so. You can chip in a few bucks there. Thank you so much for your support. So we have Conservative Party leadership candidate, Dr. Leslyn Lewis here. Thanks for being on Rebel News.
Thank you for having me. I was looking forward to being able to meet you, and I'm glad that you're here today.
Yeah, I know. Last time you were running, couldn't get out with the whole COVID thing. So it's nice to be seeing you here in the flesh. And you've been busy. Yesterday, you had your event in the Fraser Valley, which I believe sold out. And then you had to do another, a larger venue. Where are you going to next after this?
Well, I think that they're still working on that timetable, but I will be out east, I believe in New Brunswick next, and Quebec also.
Yes. Now, in 2020, I was watching an interview with you. I'm going to take you down memory lane for a minute. And you said one of the reasons that you were running then was because you noticed division within your own party. Do you remember saying that? Now, are you still finding division within the party now? Why or why not?
Well, I see division within all of the parties. We saw what happened to Enemy Paul. We've witnessed how many women have been kicked out of the Liberal Party. And we have issues also that we have to resolve within our party to make sure that we're bringing that coalition together. As you know, there were a lot of votes that went to the PPC, and those were Conservative votes. And so we have to make sure that we're representing all voices and that every side of the party feels welcome and believes that they're being heard.
Now, talking about representing all voices, you're a social conservative. You're not afraid to say that, right? So how would that transpire if you were the leader of the Conservative Party?
Well, I see Conservatives as being Conservatives. And yes, there are social issues that are of concern to me that may not be concern to other candidates. As you know, I'm pro-life, and so the rights of the fetus is important to me. I believe that life begins from conception, and I respect people who don't share my beliefs also. And I think it's just a matter of respect, recognizing that not everyone's going to have the same opinion or beliefs as I do, but they have a right to their opinions.
Now, I know in tonight's event in North Vancouver, it did get brought up about C4.
Shame on you. I've done everything possible in this country to raise awareness. Not one politician will address it. This is the biggest child abuse scandal we've ever seen, and you still refuse to address it.
Sir, I'm prepared to work with you. I'm prepared to work with you, but I believe that we have to be able to communicate.
And I've seen other social conservatives just kind of wonder about your role and how the things transpired with the Conservatives supporting that bill. So would you like to speak to that?
Well, I think, as I said, as legislatures, it's always important that you go through the entire bill, whether it's your bill, whether you support it or you don't support it. I think it's always a failing when we don't actually go through the bill because there could be inadvertent consequences. And that gentleman was right. If the consequence of this bill impacts on parents being able to be there for their children or pastors being able to speak with members of their church, then I don't think that should be really the intent of the bill. The intent of the bill should be to make sure that children who are going through gender dysphoria or identity issues, that they have a voice. And I don't believe that the bill should have inadvertent consequences to punish parents, loving parents who are trying to be there for their children, or pastors who are having voluntary conversations with members in their church.
Now, another concern that I've seen some parents starting to talk about, especially in Canada, it's a little bit more common in the States, is critical race theory. Do you think that is happening in Canada? Is it an issue, and to what degree?
That's a provincial issue, and I haven't really delved into it. I went to university and I had a degree. One of my degrees was in sociology, and so we did explore critical race theory, but I was an adult and it was a university and it was a theory. If it's being presented as facts to children who may not have the maturity to really understand that it is a theory, I think that that could be problematic because we have to have age-appropriate content for children. So although it's not something that's dealt with federally, I do still think that parents should be involved in making sure that they know what their children are being taught.
So when you say provincial, you're talking more of Bill C-67, I believe, right, in Ontario. But for example, recently we saw Home Depot in Calgary doing sort of messages for their own staff saying that you have white privilege if you believe that police are there to protect you when you call on the phone. So we do have these little examples, even if with adults. Do you think that's a problem in Canada, or is it just sort of a side issue? And if it is a problem, how would you address it?
I haven't heard, and nobody has brought up that issue to me within a workplace context, but I believe that people should be able to express their opinions without a label being attached to them and without being demonized because of how they perceive things. And so people have different perceptions of reality, and I think that we need to have conversations about that.
Now, something a lot of people may not know, maybe if they saw your interview before, they would know that you were one of the first politicians to actually go on the ground in front of Ottawa and talk to the truckers in person. You also spoke about some of the vaccine issues regarding children, and you did that prior to the Freedom Convoy. Why do you think you spoke out before some of your colleagues?
Well, it takes a lot of courage to speak out when nobody else is, and to risk that, because with doing that will come consequences. And so even if somebody may have a big voice and they are concerned about their political future, they may not want to speak out until it's convenient or until it's comfortable to do that. But I had a full career. I was a successful lawyer. I had my own business, and I'm not really here for a job. I'm here to make sure that we have the best country. And that means that if I see things that I believe is impeding and infringing on the freedoms of Canadians, then I'm going to speak out about them.
Now, the World Economic Forum, we hear about it all the time. If you go on social media, you see people asking who's affiliated with it from the Conservative Party. Are you affiliated with the World Economic Forum? Do you think there are any concerns for Canadians from the World Economic Forum?
Absolutely not. I'm not affiliated with the World Economic Forum. I never have been in the past, and I won't be in the future. I think that when Canadians raise concerns, that we shouldn't minimize them. The World Economic Forum, the leader of that forum, has stated publicly that he has people within government.
What we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
And so I think it's important that we make sure that everybody that's in government that is working on behalf of Canadians is working for our sovereignty, and that their allegiance is to no other outside global entity.
And last question, I guess, for people, you can even talk straight to the camera. I'll give you the microphone. But why should people vote for you? You're new to politics, so why should you be trusted to lead the Conservative Party and possibly the country?
Well, I think it's important that people recognize that I'm someone who comes with a divergent experience. I have experience in industry. I have experience teaching in university. I have experience running a business. I've signed the front of a paycheck instead of only the back of a paycheck. I've created wealth. I know what it's like to have someone dependent on me in order to pay their mortgage. And so when you have that type of experience, I think it's important that you are able to recognize what the needs of Canadians are. And just being in an Ottawa bubble is not the solution for diverse representation, for representation that would lead Canada to a path of prosperity where all Canadians have the freedom to express themselves, the freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of association, and where we have a nation that's prospering.
Well, there you have it. Dr. Leslyn Lewis, candidate for the Conservative Party leadership race, and Drea Humphrey for Rebel News. If you want to stay up to date on the latest with the race, please head to our special website at leadershipreports.ca. Thank you. Thank you, Drea. Yeah. At Rebel News, we don't take a penny from the federal government's media bailout. We rely on you and are only accountable to you to bring you the latest on current affairs. If you'd like to support the journalism that we do, you can head to rebelfieldreports.com. We appreciate your support.